Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Are there any changes to the agenda tonight? Then we have our first session of public comments. And we have members from the floor. If there's anybody who would like to speak? All right. And members online? Is there anybody online that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. A little bit of technical difficulties, so we'll. All good? Nobody? Okay, cool. All right, then we are on to the superintendent's report.
Okay. So we have a lot going on as it is, we're coming up to the beginning of the school year. And so I've regularly reported out during the course of this summer on facilities work, which I can say is buttoning up very nicely in all of those areas. I think it would be nice to go and have a tour of some of these spaces, to look at some of the work that's been done and to see where the community's money is going in to help continue to take care of the aging facilities that we do have. We do have a floor going in tomorrow over here in a room nearby where we are at. We also have had a lot of, we've had some good movement with community partnership development, both with Franklin Pierce University and with, it's fine, with Antioch University. It's fine. Okay. With Antioch University. Antioch University, that's a revitalized partnership that we have with them. Antioch has a very strong psychology or say counseling type of department there, where they can, where we used to work with them in their family counseling unit, and COVID came and things adjusted and not in favor of that partnership anymore. They are now going to be our primary partner with the grant that we've talked about, which is very exciting. So we'll be presenting a whole lot more. We still have some more of those activities to write, but they came in with a proposal that met the needs of the grant and then some, as well as they are going to do a thorough evaluation, both pre and post of the work that they're doing each time. So with them getting both of the quotes, winning both of the quotes in a sense, because we put that out to a variety of organizations, we also got a discount in that, using them in both places. But it's going to be very good. So we're very excited about that. So not only will we have access to a great deal of expertise through their school and the professors in that area, also their doctoral students will be in here helping us, advising and also providing several students potentially with counseling supports that they otherwise wouldn't be able to get because they may be under served, perhaps, and by that I mean maybe underinsured and don't have access to this type of support. And there's a lot of research about rural school systems, we fit into that category, and the need for mental health support. So we're excited to continue our journey with them, and I'm sure you're going to be hearing a lot of reports, or several reports this year, but also in the years to come. The work that has taken place in the last couple of weeks in two categories is in the area of professional learning communities with the teachers from the elementary to the middle school to the high school. We talked a lot about PLCs. We probably should do a lot more conversation about what that does and what that means, because it's not going to make sense to everyone, but we'll take the time to do that through the course of this year. We'll use some of it within some of our data presentations later on that I know the board has already requested around test scores and things of that nature, but also talking about the impact that the professional learning communities are having now. We had a 2-day session a couple weeks, or I guess it was a couple weeks now, when all of the PLC team leaders came together from across the district and got on the same page, went through the same training, and are working for the continued continuity of the entire district in this way, along with teachers presenting examples of impressive work centered around data, making decisions, implementing those decisions, getting quite a good outcome from that, and then going on to another data cycle and so forth. And so the work that is being done, we can continue to get better. We want to continue to get better in that area, but that is going into the item I want to talk most about during this time frame, is that Charlie Eicher would have been very proud that our teachers are becoming more and more astute and fluent with the use of data to inform instruction and school-wide decisions. So, many of you know that I can be an emotional individual. I will try to keep myself under composure as much as possible. And I'll take it slow. So, within the last couple of weeks, former school board member, long-standing school board member, I believe, 5 cycles of school board, 15 years, Charlie Eicher passed away.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And he served out his last time with us, and I have many things to say, and I'll try to be as brief as possible, but also not gloss over the depth of the support that he provided, I think probably in many areas within this community, but also this school. So, we'll start off with a couple stories. We'll try to story tell. I've thought about how I can best do this, because I have obviously a long history with him, 12 years with Charlie, and I can say that from the beginning, my interview set kind of where our relationship was going to be. So I came out through these doors, I came in through these doors. I know the student who brought me to the library where my interview was in 2015, and I sat around with several board members, some teachers, some other individuals who are in different positions now and are here, and I thought it went very well. And I think that the group probably, I could feel it. Like we were doing well. I was answering the questions in a way that I think that this district had been in a place where maybe what I had to offer was something that the district needed. Charlie asked me a question, and we're not supposed to talk about what's asked in interviews and so forth, but this has been a while ago. And he asked me about the Common Core. And I gave him an answer that was technically correct. I thought it was very safe. And he clearly showed me that he was going to behave and stay true to acting on behalf of his constituency. Because at that point in time, there was some controversy around the implementation of the Common Core that has since more or less gone away. But it was the first time there was a consideration of a national curriculum. That's a big deal, right? A lot of people had concerns about that. We went through, I did get hired eventually, and we started to work together. One of our first times working together, and we worked very closely together, was during the JREA negotiations. This JREA negotiations, the history was that the budget, or not so much the budget, there were always some budget conversations, but the contract had some bumps along the way prior to 2015. And so we were negotiating during that time, and Charlie, again, was looking out for the finances of those who lived in his community and for the district. It was a very long negotiations, and we worked very hard in the back, kind of really off the negotiating table, trying to figure out, me from one end, him from another end. And we tended to be there a lot over the past decade. But what we did do was we worked together to come together and find a solution to always move the needle forward. And what came out of that negotiation, along with a wonderful group of teachers negotiating, was a contract that allowed us to really protect the finances of our community through a change in healthcare at that time, while also being able to increase our wages to meet the surrounding areas, which has helped us now for the past decade. And it's allowed us to move forward. Move forward how? Well, Charlie wanted this to be a magnet school. Charlie wanted us to have higher AP scores, had our kids going to higher rates of college. He wanted better athletics, or he wanted everything. He wanted us always to be better. He did want everything. I think that's probably what it was. And he, at first, I think was impatient, wanted it right away, and realized through time that it takes time to make change. But he hung in there and never took his eyes off the prize and continued to push. Charlie Eicher is a large reason why this was a school of excellence. Charlie Eicher was the reason why the school board was, an easy choice for the school board of the year in 2024. We've shared those slides and so forth. What this board accomplished during that time, especially since COVID and so forth, was remarkable. And I don't know if it's been replicated anywhere else in the state. Charlie pushed us to be efficient. He would, a phrase that he commonly stated to encourage us to continuously analyze what we were doing, to try to improve what we were doing. He would say, you get what you inspect. You get what you inspect. Always encouraging us to continue to look deeper and to make sure that the work that we were doing was being followed, that we were always improving. He believed in professional development, making sure that people were always getting better and better. He knew that that was the lifeblood of our type of business. He saw it as a business. That was another area where we perhaps butted heads a little bit, but again, almost always were able to come to the center and move things forward. One of my fondest experiences, again, everything was nothing was quick, so I can't say it was like a quick experience. It was always over a longer period of time, was the development of the pre-K program here in our district. So Charlie saw the importance. Charlie, above when no one else was looking at this, Charlie knew that it was going to cost money, but he believed deeply in the research. He believed deeply that the investment was critical for two things: for the future financial well-being of the communities, and more specifically for the purpose of our schooling, for our test results. That he felt, but hey, it may just make sense. You start earlier, you get those individuals learning sooner. Let's do it. And we knew we couldn't do it all at once, so Susan, the former principal of JGS, myself, Carrie was likely in the mix, always looking at numbers, writing on whiteboards, planning. Do we provide transportation? Do we not provide transportation? Transportation's too much. No, we can't do that, but this is what we can do. And then we implemented that. And then I remember when we had COVID and the ESSER funds came in and we said, hey, I remember presenting, we could get 2 years of universal access to pre-K through this, and didn't even hesitate. Absolutely, get it done. Like, this is what we've been waiting for. And we did the HVAC project and everything else, always wanting to make sure that we were improving, using the finances well. Our pre-K program and the success that we've had in that area, and we've had some ebbs and flows, that was his. That was his, I would say, major contribution to this school district, because I don't actually believe we would have been able to get that in without him. He was passionate about it. He saw the importance. He was very vocal about it. And so for that, I can say in just even that little window there, we have a situation where through negotiations, he supported both the community and the financial savings, but also the growth of a school district and the ability to maintain staffing and so forth. And then with our children, he was able to provide them with rich experiences that they otherwise wouldn't have had. And the other side of that, we know that when families are, especially in the economy that we have nowadays, when families have the ability to have their children in safe and high-level educational environments that are affordable, they're able to go to work, they're able to add to their own income, and they're able to provide for those kids a better social, emotional space at their own home and be better parents, as well as contribute better to the community. 15 years of dedication, and he never faltered. He stayed true. You knew, for the most part, you knew what you were going to get, and he stood for what he believed, and he followed through. He came to school board meetings. I mean, there were years where he did not miss a school board meeting. He had to miss some in his more recent years. He is the most dedicated school board member that I have worked with out of my time and working with a lot of school board members in other districts as well. And I think that through his consistency and dedication, we are progressing in the way that we are progressing, no matter the struggles that we've had, largely due to his dedication. I'll sum it up with a different story. I've told it a little bit before. Former board member John McCarthy also was here during this specific instance. our school district had come a long way. This school in particular had done so, and obviously there were a lot of growing pains, and we fought through that. And there, there were some people along the way who would have liked to have bailed. Charlie never bailed. Charlie kept on pushing us through even when we were having challenging situations with politically. Early on in our transformation, our transformative processes here. When this school district was visited by the accreditation organization, the oldest accreditation organization in New England, NEASC is the accreditation organization. They accredit colleges, high schools, middle schools. We became one of a few middle schools here who are also accredited through NEASC. There are not many. We were able to because of our continuity, because of the work that the school had done, especially through the area of curriculum and our extracurriculars and so forth, and inclusivity. We're able to get that status. One of the requirements was that through the accreditation, I've been on accreditation visits to other schools. A gentleman who ran the accreditation event where people, all these outside teachers come in and do a report, analyze what you're doing. One of the meetings that he had to have was with school board members. And we sat in my office, and I was there. Charlie, John, and a couple individuals from NEASC. That what happened during that time frame was something I could not have imagined, and I don't think I'll ever see again. Was two board members, but really, both of them. I mean, they had both long-standing time, but Charlie was so focused and so articulate and so specific, and you know how we use a lot of acronyms? Charlie used the acronyms properly. He knew what they were. He knew what the research stated. He was quoting the research to this guy. This gentleman from NEASC could not believe he had never seen in his 40 visits or whatever he had done, or 20 years of doing this, he had never seen board members provide as much information and detail and know actually what was going on in the system as the two of them. Charlie made sure that he not only supported the system, he knew what was going on in the system. And that's commendable. So, I mean, I have other stories, but I think that in general, I think I want to say that I appreciate my experience, my time working with Charlie Eicher. I'm a better person and leader as a result of my time with him and our work together on many committees throughout the years. The good times and the more combative times. It just means that we care. And so I'm grateful and thankful for the time that he spent here and the amount of effort he dedicated to this district and the community. I know he's done a lot of, I can't speak as much about the community. I know he was very well, he worked a lot within his community, trying to make it a better place. And Charlie's efforts did not fall flat. He made this place a better place.
Thank you for that. I will speak to that as well. I knew Charlie before school board in our joint roles as elected officials. He was town moderator for many, many years in Ranch, and I've been supervisor of the checklist for over 10 now. And that's the role that I was able to find this information through the Secretary of State's office that he passed. Currently, there is no online notification planning. There is, currently that is in, if you looked them up, you would not find anything about an obituary, you would not find this information. The family is not local, and I know that people will want to participate in a memorial for him. I know that the town, that the select board knows, and I know that first week of September, we have a primary coming up, and it's going to be breaking people's hearts to go and not see him there. So, yeah, this is a very, very great loss for the town of Range and for the district. So, thank you for that. That was beautifully said.
One thing that I observed about Charlie is that he would push to get the right, to get the answer and push us to do more. And when he was dissatisfied, he would let everybody know in detail. But when he was satisfied, it was usually a one-word answer. Good. And that was like, it was such a big word for me because it meant we did it. Now we can move on, right? Now we can tackle the next project. He was an amazing person, and I'm very grateful that I was able to serve with him. He certainly taught me a lot.
I got to serve with him for 3 years. Charlie had called me and asked me, he said, hey, I need help on the school board. Why don't you sign up for school board? So I did, and we spent a lot of time together, and we did a lot of stuff together, and he taught me a lot, and I probably didn't teach him anything, but we had a good time.
Are there any questions on the other items in the superintendent's report?
I don't so much have a question, but I did drive by JGS and looked at the windows, and they look super snazzy. They did a great job. They match the age of the facility. You know, they fit aesthetically, but obviously they're new. And I'm very appreciative that those old windows are gone, and that I hope that makes this school more safe and also more energy efficient.
Yes, I need to do a final inspection on all those things. Hopefully that will happen tomorrow. But, yeah, I've certainly been there, you know, as they've gone along, and so they look fantastic, absolutely. And we need to still get some blinds up. We also had all those rooms painted so that they look sharp. One of them needed it badly and needed a lot of mudding in the walls. They were pretty cracked up, so that was good that we did that. And the flooring also has been finished over at Jaffrey Grade School, so that's good. Apollo Steel will do the front entryway to the gymnasium area. The poles, some of them are misplaced, not aligned, not proper, so they'll be doing that, but that will be the last major hurdle for the summer.
All right, let's move on to the consent agenda. We have manifests, we have payroll, budget transfers for out-of-district placement tuition, and a contracted paraprofessional. We have lots of appointments for activities, athletics, and paraprofessionals, and it's wonderful to see the paraprofessionals coming in. We have a new English teacher and a new STEM teacher coming in, and 3 resignations. And any discussion on the consent agenda? Okay, we'll take a motion to approve.
I move we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Sandra. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Dan. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, passes 600. We have the minutes from the August 3rd meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the August 3rd meeting.
Thank you, Christine. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Sandra. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, passes 600. Are there any discussion items?
I guess I do have something. I know, and Ruben, you and I have talked about this, that many families in New Hampshire have lost their SNAP benefits, which means that they lose those coupons that they can use at the grocery store to buy healthy food or at the farmer's market. For a family, that also means that they are no longer automatically enrolled in free or reduced lunch. There's a concern that those families will not know immediately that they have to fill out the paperwork to enroll their children in free and reduced lunch. So we have a situation where it'll be harder for families to buy groceries. These families, it'll be harder for them to buy groceries at the grocery store, and there's potential for their children to not immediately get free or reduced lunch. And in addition to that, if they're not signing up for free and reduced lunch, the school, let me say it this way, when students get free and reduced lunch, there's also some extra grant money through Title I funds that comes to the school, and if families are losing their free and reduced lunch, then there's the potential for the school to lose some Title I funds. So my concern as a school board member is both for the children and also for the funds. So I'm wondering what we can do to ensure that families know to fill out those forms, you know, and I guess we can start with that.
Well, I mean, I think we have to make a stronger concerted effort to communicate in every way possible. So right now, when you register, you know, you have all those forms, they can go fill out those forms and so forth and see what comes in. It will be also done from, and probably best done, the communication from the school level to families as they have a better relationship with the building principal or teachers perhaps even. Don't usually have teachers promoting that, so we'll think about that and what the implications are there. But I do think that you know, we will be making several pushes in the beginning of the year and then even throughout the year. Also at open houses, we do get very good attendance at both elementary open houses, and the open houses here have actually gotten bigger and bigger and bigger in the last several years. Actually, all the events that we have had here have really skyrocketed in attendance, which is great. So having that there, being able to answer questions, encouraging people to fill it out regardless of whether they think they qualify or not, that's going to be the tact I take personally, is to promote this. I have done that in years past, and I think this is one of those years where we have to make a major push.
Can I also make some suggestions that we just maybe print some flyers and get them hung up in the library, the public libraries, or maybe some of the churches would help us with this. This is a true community issue, I think.
Yep.
And I know QR codes are not always perfect, but if we could just have maybe a QR code that just goes right to the form, that might be helpful. Anything we can do to make it helpful, easier.
Yeah, like you said, it's a domino effect or systematic, if you think of it that way, is that one, you have, something that is helping them with families with food at home. That's, going to be that's going to be more of a struggle. And then you have that impacting the access to food here in a financially accessible way for those families, which I do think, even if they don't qualify, is getting harder and harder for families. And then, if that happens and we don't have the percentage of people who need it signing up, and we don't have that reported to the state, that then impacts the resources the school district gets from federal funds. Yes, and so that then impacts things. All of it impacts academics, but it impacts it more directly in an academic way. As it is, we've been losing title funds for years. We used to fund 3 or 3.5 full-time positions, and we're down to 2.
And do you think that's because we do not have as many impoverished families in the area, or are people not filling out forms, or something else?
I think that sometimes it could be that some are filling out the forms. I think that you would, JGS has specifically stayed fairly consistent, between that 32 and 38% range. I think we are, 32 at this point, the last that the state has indicated we are at. Obviously, it's a Title I school, so at one point it was at least at 40% free and reduced lunch, perhaps a little higher. So when they made that jump from a Title I, there's different types of Title I schools, so a Title I targeted assistance school to a Title I school-wide school, just different rules about how you use the funds, and how you can utilize people and so forth. That's the difference between the two. You would have had to have been over 40% at that point in time. I don't think that we're financially, as a community, I don't see the evidence that we're far better than that. And I would say that regardless of that threshold, I think that they're, and just talking, I talk to a lot of parents. I think, I think it's even those who are above that threshold, they're in that zone where they don't meet the threshold for anything, for any support. So it's not easy right now. So.
Thank you.
One thing I would love to see is if we could have maybe the last couple of years, how many students were free and reduced lunch, just numbers, and then maybe October 1st or when things are kind of due, see if there has been a change, how much of a change there might have been. But it'd be nice to, I just have no idea how many actively we have or have had, so it'd be nice to see a little, just a little graph of that if possible. The other thing I want to mention is we're about to have a first reading of very updated donations policy, advertising policy, and hopefully giving us an opportunity to do more fundraising. And I would be curious if we could fundraise to offset costs of lunch and breakfasts, and especially debt, but at least get some money flowing in. Maybe there's community organizations that would like to give toward it, but if it's possible for people, if there's a fund that people can have, I would like to donate $1,000 into the food service fund to offset children's lunches. Is that something that's possible through this new policy? So I would like to.
I'd like to donate my salary to that.
And by that, you mean your school board?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the school board. Yeah, not my regular salary.
That's very generous, thank you, Dan.
All right. Any further discussion on those? Okay. All right. Action item, unassigned fund balance retainage is up.
Okay. So Carrie and her team have finalized this. It's similar to what we've talked about. It was, about 2.25%, 2.5% perhaps. 803,320 is the amount that was in the unassigned fund balance. And so you have the opportunity to do something with that. If the school board chooses to retain, they can retain up to 803,320 because the 5% of the net assessment is higher. Carrie, am I correct that number is the 1,158,000?
No, that was the prior years, so what can be, the calculation is 1,196,300, it's on the second page.
Okay.
That's what the board could have retained if we had that much
Yep,
available.
okay, good. Yep, so on the second page of this, and I'll show this to the people in the audience, that if we had had it available, 5%, you would have been able to have a conversation about retaining 1,196,300. So $1,196,300. So 803,320 is certainly within that range. And so you're able to retain all of it, some of it. And you would need to discuss with one another and make a motion. The motion that Carrie has written here under the action area on that bottom paragraph, I'll just read it so that you can kind of process it in your own minds. If this is something you wanted to do, the Jaffrey Ridge School Board authorized the retention of however much of that 803,000 and change you're talking about. The general fund, unassigned fund balance for the purpose of having funds on hand to use as a revenue source for expenditures or to be used as a revenue source to reduce the tax rate, all in accordance with the RSA 198-4-B.
So to be clear, our choices are spend the money, save the money, hold on to it, or give it back to the taxpayers. And increments of that can happen, like all three could happen in increments, but those are our choices, correct?
I think we have two choices. We have two choices to retain something, and whatever we don't retain, it would go to offset taxes. Is that would you say that's the language we would want to use? If you retain the entire thing, nothing goes back to offset the taxes. And then if you retain it, then you
put
can
it in
choose,
savings or spend it.
the board has the right to use those funds for something. You have to have a public hearing prior to spending any of those funds to let people know and have an opportunity to have a conversation about it, what it's going to be spent on. So for instance, we can't use it for the purpose of backfilling something that we've already kind of put into place.
But can we use it, will we need a hearing to say we would like to keep this in an account in case something happens in December? Or something like with the insurance that happened last November?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Is it,
This would stay with, do you mind, Carrie, if you describe where this money stays?
Okay.
And you'll need a microphone.
Yep.
which is
Would
really
you, if
important.
you wouldn't mind, would you mind sitting next to Judy, and then we can move on over? Thank you for that.
So basically, all you're doing is taking that amount that's in our fund balance and saying, we're gonna retain it, we're gonna hold it. So it doesn't like go into a different fund, it just doesn't get returned to taxpayers. And then you retain the money, and it just stays basically in our bank account. And if the board chooses later to spend it on something, as Ruben said, you would hold a public hearing to discuss what you were going to spend the money on. And you could retain it for the whole year and not use it, and then at the end of the year, part of the calculation I provided, that would be your prior year's retainage plus any potential new retainage to come up with the next year's amount that you have the ability to retain. Does that make sense?
It does.
So for those in the audience, like we wouldn't be able to put it into one of our trust funds. Yeah.
Right. And while tonight we can say, and should say, if we choose to retain it for the purpose of spending it, the board should say what you want to spend it on. It can't just be a vague thing. But that decision's not being made tonight.
The decision's
All
to
we're
retain it
making-
or not. Yeah.
The decision tonight, the action we're taking is to retain or to not. And if we say not, then it goes back to the taxpayers. And it can be a portion of this. Does everybody kind of understand? Great. Okay, Judy, you've had your hand raised a couple of
Yeah,
times.
do we have a deficit in our food service program that we keep carrying over? I'm just thinking of things that this money would be good for.
Carrie, would you be able to come back? I think you're going to have several questions. The
Sorry.
question specifically about food service.
Is there a deficit that we carry from year to year? I thought I saw that there's like some amount that like students have charged to buy lunches and we didn't get reimbursed. Is there some sort of like $30,000 deficit or something that keeps getting
Yes.
carried forward?
Well, yes, so basically we carry it at the end of the year, it goes as an accounts receivable, and then on the general fund, and then it moves back to the food service fund as a negative balance on the student's account. So actually, it never gets taken away as a negative balance on the student's accounts, it's how you record it on the balance sheet.
Because
that
to get rid
shifts,
of that
yes.
would be, I think, an excellent one used for this money, and also to fund lunches for kids who need them. I mean, that's just from listening tonight and thinking of things I've heard about. So I think we should keep it. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Carrie, before you go.
Okay.
And actually, Carrie, I think you got a lot of stuff on here tonight, so you never know, right? The DOE 25 and the MS 25
computer.
stay for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Okay.
Carrie, this is the type of question I maybe would ask Ruben, or if Chris were here, I would have asked Chris, but can you tell me if we were to return this in its entirety to the average home in the Jaffrey Range School District that costs, say, $400,000? Like how much money that would be?
Well, what it does, we don't actually physically return the money. What it does is it gets reported as revenue when the revenues are finalized for this year with the Department of Revenue. It gets put on the books as additional revenue to reduce the total tax assessments that the towns have to pay.
Do we have any idea of how much it would reduce taxes? And is there any way to calculate that?
I mean, I could probably pull up my documents to see roughly how that would translate. But the evaluations, if the evaluations have changed this year, it would just be a ballpark, is what it would be, yeah.
All right. Anybody else have opinions on this? Dan, what do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of mixed on it. I think that if I'm understanding correctly, right now, we have a zero balance in the, well, we don't because we have money, but in our excess money, this would be all we have right now.
For retainage, yes, yeah.
So we have basically, if we gave it all away, then we would have no extra money, and if we ran into a problem with our budget, then we got a problem.
That's correct, yeah.
So, that's kind of, I'm not necessarily against keeping it as a retainer in case, but then I'm a little bit leery, like, hey, we got money, let's spend it. So I'm not really a big advocate about spending too much of it. I'm kind of thinking like it should be kept there, so that if we ever do have an issue, and next year, if we have extra money, we can build it up to the proper amount, because we can build it up to, can next year we do the same thing, or do we gotta stop at a certain number? We can only hold it up to a certain number.
You can only hold up to 5% of the net
So if
assessment.
next year we had another 800,000 and exceed or whatever, we would have to stop at that number, and we'd
Yeah.
have the total amount.
You can't go higher than the 5% calculation. So it's whatever your budget is at that time, you take the calculation by 5%.
So
That's the
I think
maximum.
I'm all for holding it in as a reserve, but, I'm not saying that some of it can't get spent, but
Can we do half and half, retain half of it and give the other 400 back to
We could.
taxpayers?
we could.
I think I'd be in favor of that. Keep 400 of it as a, retain that and do the other 400 back to taxpayers.
Well, I think it'd be good to have some for sure,
We have definitely spent our reserved funds in the past, not just, a recent example that I think people might remember is that we used our reserved funds for funding some of the programs that were cut from the budget on a one-year basis. But we also used those funds a few years before when we ran into problems when we were paving this driveway, and the project got to be bigger than we budgeted for, and we called upon our reserve funds to pay to finish that project. And we've definitely used these as emergency funds probably every couple of years. So I agree with Dan that it is important to have emergency funds, because these are old facilities and we take excellent care of them, but we do not know what clay pipes are gonna burst or
Hopefully we don't have any.
when we had that moat underneath the Pratt.
Can I point out something else too that I don't know if everybody's thinking of? This, if it was returned to taxpayers, that will reduce the net assessment that's assessed to the towns for this fiscal year. And if the tax cap passes, that means your cap is based on that lower assessment.
So is that good?
Depends on how you look at it. So just wanted to make sure you keep that in
Means we
mind.
get capped lower.
Sandy, thoughts?
I'm all for retaining it. I just think, we did what we had to do when we put the sports back in, but that was living on the edge in my mind. I don't want to be in that position again.
Well, I think if we run a fiscal year this year, we should have extra funds again, and then we can
Yeah, get our
play with
retainage
it.
up to what,
I think we should do well.
get it up to the 5%, and then after that, say, okay, we've got our cushion if something goes wrong.
Jared, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the retainage would have been higher, but we did spend, or pay 580,000 to school care in advance, right? So that helped. What did that come in out of? Wasn't that like some kind of type of an advance payment?
Yes, some of, 140,000 of that roughly came out of prior years. money that we didn't get to retain. We used.
Yeah.
Where would we, some other areas were as a result of some savings here and there, but I think we
A
also.
big chunk of it was the extra revenue that,
Was a lot, we got a lot of that. extra
Plus, we
revenue.
pre-bought a lot of Chromebooks that would have been coming out of the 26, 27 school budget.
We did that this year, yep.
So, I mean, there's things that we're ahead on
Well, we could-
already.
We could retain 500,000, and, you know, so we have a decent amount and return 303. I know it's not a huge amount, but
I'm still in favor of doing half and half.
When I spoke with Ally about this, she recommended retaining. She was for that. For my part, I would split it. And I would like to use funds to buy the 2 vans, and I would like to use those funds to support another preschool classroom, like those things that I've been talking about. So those 2 pieces could be funded with this, and we'd still have money left for the retainage. So I know we'd have to have a hearing to spend them, but I think we all agree that we will save a substantial amount of money with these vans. And we already know that the early childhood program, especially with the preschool, we save a lot of money on paraprofessionals. That was made very clear from Jen Horn last year when she did the PowerPoint that's in our on the website about student services. She outlined that we had saved numerous positions that were no longer necessary for kindergarten and first grade because of the preschool, because the kids came to school prepared. We know that there is a waiting list for the preschool right now, having one more classroom, which was removed. So having one more classroom would alleviate the community, the need for that, and also in the long run save us money. So both of those, I think, would be excellent long-term investments. So I would like to retain, but also with the idea that we will have a hearing and hope to spend this money a little bit. But we have to have a savings in this. We have to have, that was so hard when we got word last fall about school care. That was completely out of the blue. It was unconscionable that they did that with so little notice that we had to pay them, and then said, we're going to charge you interest if you don't pay us, start paying it. It was awful. Other school districts were able to stay afloat with their unassigned fund balance, with that extra, little pocket. We were not, and that was really hard. And again, kudos, Carrie, for it felt like weekly you were finding a nickel and a dime to pay this off. Really, really kudos to that. That was a huge worry. So I would also vote for retainage, but please do be thinking about, should we vote for that? Please be thinking about how we would spend that. Yeah, Judy?
I know I'm usually kind of stingy on behalf of the taxpayer, but I do agree that the preschool prepares the kids so much before they go to regular school, kindergarten, and first grade, that it does, in the long run, save us money on special ed. And I also know that, kids are just more receptive to learning at that age. So my feeling on it is keep the money, spend it on food for children that need it, and preschool. That's my opinion.
did you, I might have missed it, but did you say there was a number that you had for that item that you talked about?
For which?
The both of them?
From the previous board meetings, somehow I'm thinking, I think it was like 160 for one and 100 for the other, like 160 for the vans. I might be mistaken. Did we have a round number
About
for them?
140 for the vans was his rough estimate
140
on
for
that one,
the vans.
for purchase. I mean, before we would go, I mean, I'm obviously like the biggest proponent for early, any education. I'd want to be very careful before going and adding it, just in case that waiting list, people have found like plans, you know, before adding it. I do think that we need to, I would advocate for retaining the whole thing, and whether it's not added this year or if it is added this year, making sure that we figure out a way to make sure it's in that budget and capable of going on the next, even if it's like let's say we wanted to put one back in the budget and then this was able to fund like the other one for a year, that type of thing, I think that would be helpful. We have a couple other things to think about is that when we used to have another administrator at the elementary schools that oversaw all the pre-K, and we cut that out as well, so it adds, we just have to we have to plan well before doing that. And we also, I don't have numbers for you yet. I know they're in the range of 18 and 19, possibly getting up to 20. Our kindergarten classes are getting very high in both Ringe and Jaffrey, so we have some needs there as well that we have to consider. So I'm just want to give you the information, because I would want to make sure that if we put something in place like that for this year, that we actually had the population that was going to come in. I want to, again, survey and make sure, because I do know that there are 2 people that I've connected with who have put their children into part-time placements. Now, whether they pull those out and go back in, that's another type of thing.
I like the idea of having a unassigned balance so that we have some money there, but then it's also like, hey, we got extra money, let's spend it. And I'm not really, I'd like to preserve it personally, but that's just my opinion. So, so then I start looking at Jared's thing and say, well, maybe we don't retain it all because then we're gonna spend it. So, I don't know, I look at it both ways. So, I do wanna keep a balance. I really do. I think we should.
And what I heard you saying was using funds to save funds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what I heard Judy saying is part that, and also we've been talking as a board for a couple of years now on food insecurity. So these are all good conversations.
All right. Are we ready to probably have multiple votes on the retainage? Because we do need to decide how much to retain and what percentage, okay? Or what number to retain. So let's just start with an informal, full or what partial, okay? So Judy?
Full retain.
Okay. Dan?
I would like to retain 500 and give back the 303, 320.
Okay. Christine?
I would like to retain all of it.
Okay. Sandra?
I'd like to retain all of it.
Okay. Jared?
I'll go with Dan's, retain 500, give back to 303, 320.
Okay. And I would like to retain all of it. So let's do a formal vote then, just so we know. All right, so.
We need a motion?
Yep, so we need a motion, and the motion will be, we'll do the majority first. The motion will be to retain all of it, the full 803,320, and we'll take a motion for that.
And that's the action. So the motion's written right up there for someone to be able to read.
Yes.
So I move that the Jaffrey Ridge School Board authorize the retention of
I'm sorry.
$803,320 general fund unassigned fund balance for the purpose of having funds on hand.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Christine. All right, we will
It was
do a
me,
voice
but-
vote.
I
Was that you,
I
Judy?
seconded.
You seconded, thank you,
But
Judy.
we're thinking. of the
So we will
same.
do a voice vote. By person Judy. This is for the retaining the full.
Aye.
Okay, Dan?
Nay.
Okay, Christine?
Aye.
Sandra?
Aye.
Jared?
No.
And I say aye. That passes 4-0.
2-0.
4-0. Thank you, everybody.
I hear what you're saying, Dan, but I feel like that's a drop in the bucket, and we really need something to fall back on.
I don't disagree with you, but I didn't want to leave too much to fall back on, because I think we might, like, you know, when somebody's got a little extra dough on them, they want to spend it.
That'll be another vote.
All right. Do we want to stay on this, and does anybody feel strongly that they want to ask for a hearing to expend these funds?
I'd like to hear more info from Ruben on the pre-K situation.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
not
why
I'd
don't
say push it off till
I,
next meeting.
I
Yeah,
can
push it off.
provide a report. I mean, I was planning on doing it
Yeah.
for the bus and for the policy that you were going to talk about as well. So the next time around, I'm going to do a presentation. I'm going to have enough information to talk about it. But for the school buses, I'm waiting to get a little more clarity on how they could be utilized better for the CTE, but I'm pretty convinced that's where a lot of your savings is going to be, is during the school day, if we can get that done properly, possibly with the use of some volunteers. We as well to help with some of that, train volunteers to drive at times, because I think it will be tough to do otherwise. You got to have a little bit of extra support. And then we know about 2/3, you would be able to save 2/3, you would be able to not budget 2/3 of your current athletic transportation line if you had 2 vans of your own, plus the usage of the one that we have with the town, which we do pay some for, but we don't pay nearly as much as if we use the bus company for it. So those factors right there, it would take you, you might break even this year with it, it's possible. If we could ensure that we could use it for, during the day as well for CTE. And we have a lot of people going to CTE courses, as of right now anyway. We'll find out in the next 2 weeks what it levels out to, but we're talking about 50 learners to 3 different schools. I will also present some possibilities around using funds, whether it be these or just other funds, on continuing the work on CTE here to get us back into that game. I think we can do it for not too much. We had a proposal already, just need to update that proposal with that information and move forward. We would have to plan some construction, but I don't think it will be massive. And the revenue, most likely, because the data that we had would suggest that if we put something in place, for instance, in the realm of cosmetology, we would have a lot of people wanting to try to get in, including our own, of course.
So if for the next meeting, you
Yeah,
could
that's a
have
lot.
prepared information of is it viable to add a preschool now, or what, if
Mhm.
that's would be manageable,
Yep.
and information on the viability of and recommendation of getting 2 vans. This is in mind of using this.
Yes, yep.
And the food service deficit, and what can be done to, what that would cost, so that we can be prepared, should we want to do a hearing, we can be prepared in October to do something like that.
Yep.
Okay? All right. There was no other, those were the 3 areas that I was hearing that people were, okay. All right. Next up is approval of DOE 25 and MS 25 reports. Welcome, Carrie.
Showing the DOE 25, if Carrie, you can talk about, I'm going to enlarge this for those who are online, because this is tough to see. So hopefully this will show up better. Okay.
So basically, this is just a financial analysis of how the school district did over the 25-26 fiscal year. So this page is basically your your balance sheet, and then in subsequent pages, it'll report out expenditures and revenues, and then it breaks it out further by some special ed, elementary, middle, and high school. I mean, there's a lot to it, but it's what has to get reported to the Department of Ed. And the MS-25, which pulls data from this, goes to the Department of Revenue. So you're basically approving both. But on that first page, because the board voted to retain funds, actually, right there.
Right there.
So the 803,320 will just get shifted up to line 32 to be the unassigned fund balance retained. So basically, you would just approve this as modified due to the board voting to retain funds.
Carrie, do we need to have, well, they're going to approve this, but do they need to make a specific approval with the number changed to line 32?
I would include that, yeah, just to say you're approving this as modified to hold the retainage, something like that.
And this is just a summary of this last year?
Yes.
And this one goes to the Department of Ed, and the other one, which is going to be fairly close to this,
It's the same,
same thing.
well, it's a
but-
financial report, it's
Yeah.
just broken out how the Department of Revenue likes to see it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it, like I said, it pulls data from the DOE 25, so it's,
Which is this one right here,
yep, correct.
just so that people online can see what the Department of Revenue prefers to see.
So both reports will be modified to account for the retainage.
Okay. Any questions for Carrie? All right, we'll take a motion to approve DOE 25 and MS 25 reports
With the
as amended.
okay.
I will make that motion.
Thank you, Christine. Is there a
it one
second?
motion or both motions? Two motions.
We are approving MS 25 and DOE 25 reports
Okay.
to be sent to the state.
I'll second.
Thank you. And any further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain? That's a 600. Thank you, everybody. Now, next up, we have the handbooks, and there's been a summary of updates.
All right, so the summary of updates, you have these.
Lisa, when the policy committee meets, the handbook on page 35 for the CMHS learner does not mention the Meta glasses that are now available. It just says cell phones, smartwatches, and earbuds, but it does not address Meta glasses. Can that be looked at in the policy? And
It
JICL?
doesn't address what?
The Meta glasses. The Meta glasses are glasses they wear with cameras
Oh,
that are constantly recording.
okay. Yes.
I think that needs to be added into that.
Okay.
So that's page 35 of,
Yeah, it's 35 in the CMHS. There's a line that says personal devices, school board policy reference, and it references that. But I went to that policy, and that policy doesn't say anything about them.
okay. So really going back to the school board policy is the way to go if we want to keep the language in as this. Yep,
Yeah,
All right, we can do that.
okay.
thank you.
All right, we'll take a motion to approve. Do we want to, I mean, we've had these for a little bit. Do we need to go through them, the summary? Okay. Okay, we'll take a motion to approve the handbooks as
Oh.
written.
I'll move the handbooks as written.
Thank you, Sandy. Is there a
Second.
second? Sorry.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jared, sorry. Yeah. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Passes 600. Thank you. Policies. Before we get into them, and we're going to spend a lot of time on KHB. This is the second reading for the remainders. As you remember, the remainders are from the New Hampshire School Board Association legislative updates. These are, in general, by and large, mandatory policies that have been updated, so we nearly in all cases took their language. There are a number of policies that the policy committee sent on to administration to review before we brought them to you. They are also by and large mandatory, so we need to adjust them, but we're going to wait till September to get into those. Before I say this, I would like to make a hugely strong recommendation from the policy committee to please fix the system so that everybody has access to the policies, meaning get rid of the wiki, finally get a system that everybody off-site and on-site can open every policy. Right now, it is still scattered who can actually open them, which is not acceptable, that staff cannot open on-site the policies. That cannot continue. So, have to state that strongly. So, first reading, we had some really good conversations this summer around how can we start better utilizing advertising to raise funds while protecting our students from exploitation, which has always been a possibility and a concern. And so we worked together as a policy committee and with Heather and with administration and looked at lots of things and put the policy before you, and I do want to highlight some areas of it and make one edit already.
Sorry, hit a cord.
We went off screen. Okay. The piece that Ally said when she looked at it was she would like the word logo also included in this, so that that's just, I know we have the word branding, but have that also be a term in there. So sorry, everybody, it's off screen, but it is in the agenda. So just please open up another tab and take a look. And I just want to see.
Sorry.
That was,
All right,
It's here.
yeah, the word logo is mentioned, no logos or symbols unless they are associated with identifying the specific entity or enterprise and do not represent viewpoint or expression. So she had mentioned something like that. All right. So this policy is heavily adapted. We borrowed from Conval, we looked at Oyster River, and then I found a great site out of Montana that also added some things that we want, that we touched on. And so because this is a lot, I want to see what we're missing. This one is really important. This is, I want to know what we're missing. So, general statement, Jeff Range Cooperative School District encourages community members and business owners to provide financial support for school activities. I will say these first two paragraphs are pretty much word for word from Conval, so thank you guys for that. This has done a great deal. People borrow from each other all the time. All right. One permissible method of showing support is to buy advertisements or sponsor banners, posters, signs, etc. for display on school property under the conditions and restrictions set forth by the board. JRCSD shall protect students and parents from exploitation and ensure that commercial activities do not interfere with educational programs. Except for instruction relating to advertising, students shall not be required to listen to, read, or be subjected to commercial advertising in the classroom or school-provided materials and curriculum-related activities, except as provided in this policy. We have definitions. One definition that I added, and this was from, I think it was Montana, publicity and promotional material. So that was more outlined. I wanted to have that definition in there. I wanted to have a link to COPPA because this is what drives our need to protect students and the legal aspects of protecting students from exploitation. So if anybody needed to see, well, what laws do protect students, COPPA is a great first step. I added this sentence that says, under COPPA, the 2025 updates strengthen rules against third-party data sharing and children's data retention. COPPA was very recently updated, Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. So it was updated in 2025 to protect against third-party data sharing and data retention. All of our technology follows COPPA rules. So we have a technology director who is very, very careful about what kids see, what they get access to, same for anybody using the district websites. So this district is very, very on top of the laws. The next part is regulations, advertisement sponsorship. No advertisement or sponsorship as defined by this policy shall be allowed unless it complies with this policy, fits one or more of the following categories, and is approved by the site administrator and/or superintendent or designee. I'm just literally checking everything to see if I did the numbers right even. We have paid advertisement in school student publication or other district publication. Instructional aids furnished by private sources when the advertising is reasonable, non-intrusive, and not inherent to the content. Signs on school property or at school events that meet local sign ordinances and comply with the policy. Advertising sponsorship for an extracurricular activity. Pro-school sponsorship for an organization approved by the Board of Education. The display of product names or of vending machines is appropriately placed in the school for the use of students, staff, or the public. Incidental advertisements that appear when students are using various internet services, see COPPA. And any advertisement or sponsorship announcement shall be strictly limited to identifying group, organization, or business as follows, and then it gives the definitions of what can be seen. And then publicity and promotional materials. Non-school sponsored advertising and publicity may be permitted when the principal and superintendent judge that the content fits into the overall instructional objectives of the school and shall have prior approval of the superintendent. Neither the facilities, the name, the staff, nor the children of any school within the district shall be employed in any manner for advertising or otherwise promoting the interests of any commercial or other non-agency or organization, except in the following situations. So those are outlined. I won't read all those. And then we have prohibited commercial activities, and those are in our current policy. No viewpoint is permitted, no advertising or sponsorship shall be accepted if it advertises or promotes tobacco, alcohol, illegal drugs or weapons, hostility, disorder or violence, contains vulgar, abusive, obscene, or sexually explicit language, is libelous, demeans any person or group based on race, gender, ethnicity, age, disability, or religion, advocates the violation of law or board policy, advances any religious or political purpose or interests, promotes, favors, or opposes a candidate for elected office or a ballot measure, is associated with any company or individual whose actions are inconsistent with JRC's educational mission and goals or community values, or is otherwise in violation of the law. And we have non-endorsement. Advertising doesn't mean that we are endorsing them. We have the right to cancel. And the next, I'm trying to see if I added something, canceling and amending. Okay, now the last part I added. So this accounting one I added in because we had the discussion so many times of how do we hold accountable financially for, how do we make sure that everything is getting put in the right places, that no group is going rogue and just on their own making this nice little parent group or community group that's going to raise money that we have no idea where this accounting's going. And so I added this in. I think this is from Montana or Michigan. Advertising revenues must be paid directly to the district unless the revenue comes from contacts within one of the approved organizations for paying for a facility in the district. regardless of how the advertisers come to be willing to pay for advertising on district property or district publications. The revenues may be acknowledged and credited to the district organization involved with securing the advertising, but that organization cannot have direct receipt and control of the revenues, except for an approved organization paying for a facility in the district. The revenues shall be accounted for and reported in compliance with the New Hampshire Bureau of School Finance legal requirements. A periodic report shall be made to the board by the superintendent or designee regarding the scope and amount of such revenues. So, it's a lot to it. This was a lot. Is there anything we're missing to be able to take advantage of the publicity that Heather was talking about with the televised programs? We might be able to get advertising now from bigger places. Like, I think what we're trying to do is not just work on our local revenue streams because they're tapped out. We had a great meeting with Patty Farmer, who a school board member not long ago, who was also on the policy committee, and she is the fundraiser for Franklin Pierce, and she came over to help us outrun this, and she said, you got to stop just thinking local, because every local business is giving to their teeth right now. There are so many organizations that need help. And you've got to make sure that you're not double dipping, that you don't have field hockey and drama and interact all going to the Park Theater to get money kind of thing. Like, you have to make sure that, somebody's watching this, that you're not overstimulating and over addressing things. We want to be able to go bigger. We want to be able to open this up to farther away than just local. So, does this cover that? It can always be changed later, but are you guys seeing any red flags in this? Judy?
Give me an example of something farther away that would send us money.
I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Give me an example of a place far away that would send us money.
So if we have the televised sports, we already know that the national scholastic associations recognize our teams. That was made very clear when we were cutting athletics. It was all over national news. So in the type of televised that we have, Heather found an option to be able to advertise through those. So we could have Nike, we could have bigger names giving us some money to have their thing. So all of our uniforms are bought from one company. That's a big company. Could they be helping us advertise?
Okay.
And part of that, just so that you understand, is that if we're televising, or kind of basically televising, someone has a subscription to our sports programs that will have some advertisements. We can use that as a fundraiser, but any people, families from around the nation, if their grandparents watching from Oklahoma or Washington State or another state within our nation is going to, we will have a maybe not widespread, but a national audience when our kids are playing in their soccer games, their field hockey games, track, I believe also the basketball. I believe we have the system inside the Pratt at least.
All right. So nobody sees red flags or anything missing at this point? Okay, so this is a first reading. It'll come back to us when we have our next meeting for a second reading, so be thinking about if there's any changes in that point. All right?
And at the next meeting, along with the other items, we'll present on some of the concepts of how this could be applied.
Okay. All right, we have a second reading for over a dozen policies. Was there any concern in any of those that you guys saw? Any discussion on them? If not, we'll take a motion to approve the group en masse.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Judy.
I'll second.
Thank you, Sandra. Any further discussion or amendments on them? Yes, Ruben.
I think that some of these we had the principals respond to, and we had some of that input. We have not put that information into this yet.
Those aren't those.
The religious neutrality one was one of them.
Was one of them?
Yeah.
I think that might have been the only one then, because that group that I gave you
Mhm.
was completely separate from these.
Mhm. And the academic honesty and integrity one has some language in there that I think the board would, it would go against other policy you have. So just a few words, that's mainly the two right here that I'm looking at. And then the use of generated artificial intelligence, while not a bad policy per se, there's a group of individuals who are working on a PERC project on that very topic, and was hoping that we could hold off on that to see if, have them present.
All right,
Would those three be able to, at least,
okay.
be
So
able to be held for a third reading?
yes, so Sandy, would you be open to amending your motion to approve the policies barring ACD, religious neutrality, religious accommodations, and EHAG, use of generative artificial intelligence, and IKL, academic honesty and integrity. So the remaining policies will be approved tonight.
So I'd like to amend my motion that we accept the second reading for these policies, except for the three that you mentioned.
Yeah. All right. And are you good with the second? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Passes 600. Wendy, do you have those letters? Do you have those letters that you're, okay, thank you. We'll put those on for a third reading for the next meeting. Thank you for that. All right. We are on to public comments, number 2. And I just want to, as we're putting the policy up for that, going back to the discussion of a hearing, should the board decide they want to pursue spending some of the unassigned funds, whatever the board says, this is what we want to spend it on, we go before a hearing and the public has the full options to be, well, I think you should spend it on this, or I don't want you to spend it on this. So that's what the hearing is. So it's not that the board is set in stone saying this is what we're spending it on if we have a hearing. We bring it before the public, and the public has a say in that. So just wanted to make sure that was understood. That was pure Charlie coming out of me on that one. All right. Anybody from the floor wish to speak? It's lovely having an audience. It's very nice.
I'm good.
Anybody online? Okay. All right. Then we will go into board matters, and I have one. So it is that time of year. The New Hampshire School Board Association Delegate Assembly is coming up on Saturday, October 17th. We didn't talk about this in the spring. We have the option of putting forth proposals for the School Board Association to vote on. We have not done that for a while, and we were dealing with lots of other stuff at that point. So we don't have any proposals from our district on the docket. But there are lots of good proposals. If you go to the New Hampshire School Board Association.org, you can see the manual and the proposals. And is there somebody that will volunteer for Saturday, October 17th? It's generally a fairly full day. It's in Concord, and it's like 9 o'clock to like 1 o'clock or something. So is there anybody that will be willing to go to do that? They are very, very interesting to go to. Most of the school districts in New Hampshire have 1 or 2 attendees. And we also hear from other school districts on their successes, and that's very exciting. There's lots of movement with the proposals as far as in the petitions, just fine-tuning language. It is a very interesting event, so I do highly recommend it. If there's somebody that's willing to do that.
May I add something that might help?
Mm.
The board typically discusses these, so there will be some time to do so, and will provide information to the person or people who go, so that you know that you're voting for on behalf of the group. And there are statements about what you believe they should advocate for.
I'm going to be away that time.
Say it again, Dan?
I'm going to be away, so I won't be around.
All right, I'd like you to think about it, and then we'll ask again at the next meeting. Then we need to have a decision on that. Okay? All right. All right. Any further board matters?
The facilities meeting had a meeting this afternoon, and I'll press these out. Leslie gave what she's doing for the stipend reports to make them more legible and more understanding for us. So I have a copy for each of you.
And so with that, if you look through that and see, oh, I wonder if this would be a better way, or if there's something else that we need to see, we can provide that information.
I'd like to get an answer by next
Christine.
meeting of any changes that we may want to do to that platform.
Amazing.
Also with the facilities, it's a facilities/finance committee.
Thank you.
And so we discussed we did a lot of education around what, really a lot of the conversation, most of the conversation was about what it means when we say someone is getting paid a salary, what all is included in that. So while we report out that an individual is getting hired at a master's, let's say step 1, and that might be $53,000, that's the salary, but then what comes with that. And so there was a discussion about New Hampshire retirement at 19, a little over 19% that has to be budgeted there, and also the staff member also pays into that as well. The health insurance, depending on what plan they're getting, costs different, has different rates and different dollar amounts. Also, the FICA, which is even across the board, as well as some other minor items like life insurance and workers' comp.
It's a good conversation because sometimes I think the community sees a salary of, say, $110,000 for, I just made that number up, or they see a budgeted amount of $110,000 for, let's say, a teacher, and they think, wow, teachers are doing pretty well. But it is important to realize that that amount includes salary plus FICA, insurance, and all those other things that you.
In New Hampshire, retirement's a big number. That's almost 20% of the amount, so you're right.
And that's a percentage that the state used to contribute more towards, but they've pushed that increasingly on local taxpayers, am I correct?
All.
Yep.
It's all pushed locally. Yep. To the taxpayers and of course the people themselves contribute.
Is it, when do you think we're going to get a budget development calendar?
Budget development calendar, Carrie?
The Department of Revenue usually releases their calendar right around now,
Microphone, sorry.
so,
So,
Do we have that portable mic?
you want me to just, I'll come over.
yeah, if you
Okay.
can go over that.
Okay.
So I wait until the Department of Revenue releases their calendar, which is usually right around now. And once I get the calendar, I have all the dates, and then we can work from there typically.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it might be out now. I haven't checked in the past week or so.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. All right. Anything further for, we had a policy meeting, Patty Farmer came, that was awesome. Any
Yeah,
other-
special thanks to Patty. She really was knowledgeable. I liked her conversation about the difference between advertising and fundraising. And she gave some, gave some experience, for us to think about.
I don't have Patty's correct title in front of me, but I believe she's a vice president now at Franklin Pierce.
Thank you. Yeah, I knew her specialty that she was bringing to us, but I didn't have her title. Thank you, and thank you for putting that together, Christine. All right. All right, so are we adjourning to a non-public
We are.
for purposes of
Reputation.
reputation? So we'll take a motion to adjourn to non-public?
Student reputation.
Okay, we'll take a motion to adjourn to non-public for
I make a
purposes.
motion, we adjourn out to non-public.
Thank you, Dan, and is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jared. And all in favor, Judy?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Christine?
Aye.
Jared?
Aye.
Sandy?
Aye.
And I say aye, 600. Thank you, everybody. And come back to public, but we won't have anything to say, so.